It's Monday, that means it's Setup Monday. Let's take a look at some charts I've been watching over the past week and will continue to watch over the next week throughout the beginning of the new year. And we're quickly approaching a part of the trend where we have to decide as traders how much of this is overbought. Do we feel comfortable adding or opening a position up here? Generally what most people are going through in their head right now. There's kind of two people here. There's the FOMO and the I'm going to add no matter what people who aren't necessarily the same person. But there's those people, and then there's people like me who are trepidatious, nervous, don't want to open at all-time highs, don't want to breakout trade all-time highs. And there's maybe like this third hidden secret option of people that don't care about price and just want to get in. And it's not necessarily FOMO. They've been watching it for years and finally have like the go-ahead to do so. The institutional people. So I think that's the three people in the market right now. I don't know if TA, says the TA guy, I don't know if TA is good enough to like reconcile all three of those together at once. Because if we look at the macro trend stuff, the on-chain stuff, MVRV, Puel multiple, UTXO, coin age, that sort of thing, it looks like we're about in the 5th or 6th inning of this trend, which can be multi-year, can be multi-month. It's looking more and more like it's multi-year. And just because we're in the 5th and the 6th inning based on on-chain stuff or price action doesn't mean this is like equally reflexive towards the top end. Like it could just blow out the top end like it did in 2017, blow off top, 2013, blow off top. But it definitely looks like we're midway to something. So the ultimate question is, will we get an intra-trend pullback before the 9th inning? Ideally we do. You know, we didn't in 2019 and we saw what happened. It just collapsed basically slowly over time. Same thing with 2013, same thing with early 2013, mid 2013. Now what we want is obviously 2016, 2017, multi-year, but that requires us to chill out a little bit, I believe, unless there's some sort of true paradigm shift here, which there very well could be from institutional money flooding in, literally throwing money at GBTC and ETH and that sort of thing. So let's look at some technicals. If I'm pulling out the weekly RSI, it usually means we're either very overbought or very oversold. And right now on weekly RSI, we are very overbought. This doesn't mean immediate reversal. It doesn't mean it can't just trend at overbought for a long time. But historically, we don't stay up here that long on RSI. And MACD is probably also at an all-time high here on the weekly. So it's tough to look at this and want to like push higher because I know it's just going to fizzle out, right? If we look at the pitchfork on the cloud, there's plenty of upside targets here. It doesn't mean we're going to hit them by the end of the year. And it's better if we don't. The slower the better. It's better if we stay in the median line as long as possible, consolidate, accumulate, that sort of thing. Because the last thing anybody wants is us to wick to 60K and then just drop off to 30K over a few weeks or months. Nobody wants that, honestly. This boom bust stuff isn't really good for anybody. So support resist wise, I like 22K as support. I like kind of where we're at, 28K as resistance, 36 if it gets super nutty towards the end of the year. But it's hard to look at the weekly RSI and MACD and think, yeah, this is definitely going to go higher, right? Like it's going to take some monumental buying power to just keep us up here. Ideally, it's easy and we see some sort of bear div on the daily or 12-hour or something on RSI, which I'll show on Monero at the end. But that makes it easier to decide whether or not you're adding, opening, hedging, that sort of thing. Now, if we look at the 12-hour on a trend following system like the cloud, we did get entry signals as far as key June bounces is what they're called. You know, they don't always propel us higher like these two didn't. You know, these two just went sideways. But the way you play this is you always just assume this is continuation until it isn't. So in the 12-hour, BTC is actually played out pretty well. You know, it stayed above the cloud. It stayed above the Tenkin for the most part, aside from these 2 points. And now it's, again, just floating, free floating. So for me, I'd want to get back in here at the 12-hour Kijun, probably around 23. You know, I like 22 or like 23. I do not want to add up here. I do not want to open up here. Maybe you breakout trade this, expecting some sort of blow off, but it's making me nervous, definitely. All-time high is making me nervous. Here's the 4-hour. So, you sort of have to dial it in. Does it look good on the 12-hour? Is it fast enough for the 4-hour? So if you're trading this on the 4-hour, it actually looks okay throughout October, November. It looked okay in December as well. You get your 4-hour open signal with the Kuma breakout, 4-hour TK cross here. Was I opening positions here? No, I didn't believe we could do what we did. I just didn't believe. So even the 4-hour wants 25.5 as far as a retest or support. We didn't get that on the 4-hour in the 22s. I don't know if we're going to get into the 25s, 26s, but the issue is it's stairs up, elevator down. So this has taken months to sort of 2x, right? Basically from October to mid-December at 2x. So I don't want to be long when this decides to retest 15, right? Like you just don't know, And here's ETH. ETH, the play is a little more obvious because the upside I think is a little more limited. I like 4 figures, maybe not the end of the year, but I trust in this pitchfork highly. So, I'll be selling up here and buying down here, and the 200s right here as well. So there's plenty of support resist confluence for 430 support, sort of 4K psychological resistance up there. The CME ETH futures is coming Q1 2021, so that could signal some sort of top as well. And if we just go through the 12-hour, the 12-hour told you 3 times. Did I listen? No, but 12-hour cloud told you 3 times as far as these key tune bounces. Go long, or add, and it sort of did what's expected of it in that it was bullish continuation. Now again, it doesn't always look like that. It wasn't super clean here, right? You get your Kijun bounce, it goes higher, then it just reverses. That's what worries me adding up here, right? Is this just absolute 180 all the way down because of how overbought sort of everything is. Here's 4-hour ETH. 4-hour ETH has been a mess on the cloud, so it's been hard to trade these charts together. ETH has really lagged over the past couple weeks. It's finally catching up over the past few days. Holidays, New Year, all sorts of stuff. I mean, ETH BTC got absolutely slaughtered to 0.25. Most of the alts got slaughtered. Here's Link USD hit its 200-day moving average for the first time since like September. And before that, it was March, April. So it's been in this pitchfork for 2 years, and it's at risk of canceling it out, this bullish pitchfork. It's sitting in its R5 yearly pivot. I mean, I don't know how much more you can expect for Link this year, what little of it we have left. But as long as this holds, and the expectation is always bullish continuation. It has to be. The same thing with the Kijun bounces. You put your bids there because you expect bullish continuation. If you're watching this pitchfork, you're buying the 200, you're buying the bottom of this pitchfork, just expecting bullish continuation until it isn't. The trend is your friend until the end. So this looks weak, lethargic, gross, ready to roll over, but you can't not believe it. And to see what happened on Link BTC, just absolutely fell off the table, right? We're starting to see bull divs on most of these BTC pairs. Now, this pitchfork wasn't in existence as long as the USD pitchfork. But if this does survive, the expectation is some sort of return to 001, something like that. If this can bounce back in. Now, that isn't necessarily an expectation that it will happen, but that's the possibility. I mean, this just looks nasty, right? Anybody looking at this is probably wanting to sit out at this point. Tezos is just completely playing its own game, not following anything, and that has slaughtered it as well in the BTC pair. Starting to see bull divs here on low time frames hit an all-time low on the BTC pair. The good news is in 2018, 2019, and mid to late 2019, there was plenty of consolidation in this area, plenty of chart pattern evidence, Adam and Eve, W double bottom, all sorts of stuff going on here. So this may bounce around. I don't think this is going to mean revert strongly anytime soon. It's more likely than not to just bounce between 8K sats and 12K sats for like 6 months, maybe even to Q2 2021 when alts do better. XMR, BTC, kind of the same thing. It just is back at multi-year lows, even though the USD chart actually looks pretty good. The problem here is the obvious bearish divergence. You're getting 3 highs. You can even call it 3 drives. You get 3 pushes and then it retraces half of it, somewhere to the 200-day moving average. So overall, I think a lot of this stuff is hard to add or expect higher moves and at the same time get FOMO when it pushes higher. So it's tough. Usually you want to drop your leverage down, drop your sizes down when you're just unsure up here. If you're like me, maybe you're super confident this goes higher, but I cannot look at this weekly RSI and just expect this to go to 200 on RSI, right? So I'd watch alts, I'd watch rotation game, I'd watch some of those BTC pairs that got absolutely schmammered over the past couple weeks. And if BTC decides to roll over in a big way, alts will definitely follow. So I'd be watching for sort of BTC weakness and the catch-up trade on everything else.